Derek Shapiro here at Competition Shooting Supplies. They're one of my sponsors for a long time, for many years. John Francis, how you doing?
Hi, Derek. How are you?
Good, thank you. And of course, it's a privilege to have you on my show. Now more platforms. I'm on iHeartRadio. I'm on Spotify, Amazon Music. And of course, I want to talk to you about the latest shooting in Texas. Okay?
Yes.
The latest shooting in Texas, a lot of people say, change the gun laws, make it maybe older. But I listened to recently, Sean Hannity says maybe hire former security guards, former military people to secure the schools, have them have a tax break, and then they can secure the schools. What can we do not to bring any more laws for the guns, but to bring the schools safer?
So it's not just this latest tragedy in Texas.
Right.
There's been a number of what they're calling these mass shootings around the country. It's not an easy answer.
Right.
It's not a one answer fix.
Yep.
This is a multifaceted issue. I think a lot of it comes down to the mental health problems we have in the country today, especially from the COVID, the lockdowns, and the keeping people separated. In my own family, for God's sakes, my older brother was in a nursing home. We couldn't see him for a year. We had no physical contact. We could only talk on the phone. And the next time that we could see him in person was he's laying in a casket.
Wow.
So, which devastated my mom so much, she died 6 months after that.
Sorry about that.
So, I understand that. So what, as far as the schools definitely need to be hardened.
Metal detectors?
To try, well, I guess it would depend on that particular school. The schools in certain cities, high crime areas, where the authorities know that a number of the students that are going to that school are involved in gang activity, then yeah, I think metal detectors.
But if they brought the age up, like drinking age is 21, someone said if they brought the age up to, how old do you have to be to purchase a gun?
Well, for a rifle or a long gun, you have to be 18.
Okay.
And a handgun, you have to be 21.
So if you brought the age up to 25, would that be?
That would be, in my opinion, that would be a violation of people's constitutional rights.
What about 21?
Well, if you're going to tell, for the most part, how can you tell someone when they turn 18 that they're an adult? Under the law, they're a lawful adult. They can register to vote. They can.
But they can't drink.
They can't drink. But they could get drafted, go to war, or yes, they can voluntarily join the military. But you can't purchase. You can't own a firearm to go hunting,
right,
or target shooting, or for home protection. I believe Florida has done that already.
Brought the age up?
I believe they're trying to do that. And in fact, I think there was a city in California that it was a city ordinance. And the state court said, no, you can't do it. It's unconstitutional.
Really? California?
California.
Wow.
So I'm pretty certain that that's the case.
And Florida is run by one of the most Republican governors.
That's right. And so I think you're going to find that that may trigger some constitutional issues.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've met a lot of 18 to 20-year-olds. Some of them not very mature,
exactly,
at all. But there's others that you'd never know they were 18 because of the way they comport themselves. So
because I still call my children my babies. They're 21 and 116, and I recently just was Googling what age does your brain stop developing, or still develop, and it still develops up to age 25.
Yeah, I've read that.
And maybe you're not an adult until you're 25. Well,
I think that because everybody's different.
Right.
I think it's just too subjective.
Too subjective,
in my opinion.
Now,
but frankly, I think here in Rhode Island, I don't think that young man in Texas he would have been stopped.
Yeah.
And I say that because here in Rhode Island, we have a we have two background checks that we have to do. One, I have to, because I'm a dealer, I go through the FBI NICS system.
Sure.
The other one is I have to send a copy of your state purchase application
Sure.
to the police department where you live.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and every department, whether you live in that city or town, but they will check with all the police departments around the state to see if they had any contact with you. So even if that kid had moved, they would have found out that, because the Alverdi Police Department, from what I've seen, had multiple trips to that house for domestic issues involving him.
Wow, so he should never get a gun.
Well, Texas doesn't have that requirement.
Wow.
So if Texas had a similar requirement that we do, and a lot of states do, in fact, where the police departments where the person lives has to be notified that an individual's buying a gun, and then they can start looking arrest reports, call logs, stuff like that, to see if there's any issues.
Sure. They
would have immediately picked that up. And then, hey, look, so even though this all happened when he was a juvenile,
Yep.
and upon 18, those records are sealed for the most part. So technically speaking, he had no adult criminal record.
Yep.
I understand that. But if I get a call from a local police department and they say, look, technically we can't say no to this person,
Sure.
but we've had a lot of contact with them, or him or her, whoever it may be, please, we really recommend don't sell this person a gun. And that's all the gun store personnel need to hear.
Sure.
Because federal law gives us the authority to say no for any reason whatsoever.
So the Second Amendment thing at the State House, it was at the Providence State House in Rhode Island.
Last night, yes.
What was well, this is gonna be here Monday, so it was last week at the time this is airing. So tell me about that meeting at the State House. People wore yellow shirts. Tell me about this meeting.
So we had just over 600 gun owners appear from around the state. We wear the yellow shirts to differentiate ourselves from the Moms Demand Action and the Rhode Island Coalition Against Gun Violence crowd.
Sure.
They wear blue and orange.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, red.
Red, okay.
Shirts. Some of them wear orange. So we wear yellow to distinguish ourselves from that. We gathered last night to send a message to the Rhode Island Speaker of the House and the Senate President and all the lawmakers there that we're not going to sit down and take it lightly. They're trying to strip us of our constitutional rights. The bills that they're looking to put forth, the progressive left in this state shamefully politicized that tragedy in Texas.
Yes.
To further their gun ban agenda.
Yes.
And so they threatened the Speaker and the Senate President that if you don't let all of our gun bills out of committee onto the floor for a vote, we're going to block you from passing a budget. Well, first of all, what a joke that is. They don't have the votes to do it.
Exactly.
They don't have the votes to do it, and none of the conservative and moderate Democrats at the State House were going to join them anyway.
Exactly.
So, but they shamefully also have been telling the public, we're not taking anybody's guns away, blah, blah, blah. That's a bold-faced lie. All you need to do is read the language that they've got in those bills. The assault weapons bill is so broadly worded that it's not just AR-15s or AK-type guns that would be banned. It's virtually anything semi-automatic to include handguns and shotguns as well.
Sure.
And there's another... Now, they say, well, you can keep your gun. You just got to register it. Well, what if someone can't... You can register it if you can prove you owned it prior to the effective date of the law. Well, not many people keep their receipts, unfortunately, though they should. So how do they prove they own it?
Exactly.
There's number one. Number two, if you read further down in the fine print, which nobody does, it clearly says that any guns you own cannot be sold, transferred, leased, lended. You can't give it to your kids. You can't sell them to a friend. And God forbid something happens to you. If you pass away, whoever's in charge of settling your estate will have like 120 or 180 days after you pass to get rid of those guns. Not when the probate court says it's okay, upon the person's passing. So they can't be left, even though in his will he may have left his things to his kids. No.
Exactly.
This law does not allow family heirlooms, if you will, to be handed down to the next generation.
Wow.
They either have to be legally destroyed,
Sure.
legally shown that they were gotten out of the state, or turned over to a dealer or a police department, and there's no compensation.
Sure.
And the magazine ban, there's no grandfather clause. Nobody's going to be able to lawfully keep what they already have. You would have 180 days upon passage to destroy them, get them out of the state, or turn them over to a dealer or the police. Possession by dealers are exempted. But frankly, again, the way the mag ban bill is worded, the assault weapons bill is worded, I don't see how any dealer in the state can survive losing up to 90% of their inventory to sell.
Wow.
And, as far as, because, even a small pistol, which only holds 5 or 6 rounds, well, potentially someone could make a magazine which would hold more than 10, which would work in the gun. Therefore, it's illegal for me to sell or transfer.
Wow.
So what am I supposed to do with, $100,000 worth of potential inventory?
Exactly.
And I'm just a small place.
Exactly.
I mean, you got DNL up in Warwick. He's got millions of dollars in inventory in his shop. What is he going to do?
Exactly.
So, I mean, this is flat wrong.
Sure. What can people do to change this?
So, what people need to do, assuming that they haven't pulled one of those midnight tricks in the dead of night to stab us in the back, everybody needs to reach out, call the Speaker of the House, that office, call the Senate President's office, and tell them that whether you're a gun owner or whether, if you choose to own guns, great. I mean, that's your right. But if you believe in people's rights to lawfully own guns, you need to tell these politicians to not allow those bills out of committee for a vote. Then you also need to contact your local state senator and your local state representative and tell them, if those bills go to the floor, I want you to vote no on them, or else I'm not going to vote for you in the next election.
Awesome. Thank you, John, for being part of this, and thank you for your input. I really appreciate it. Here at Competition Shooting Supplies here in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. And again, the address over here is or you can say that
435 Benefit Street in Pawtucket.
Pawtucket, yeah, in the rear, and right off of Newport Avenue.
Yes,
Right off of Newport Avenue.
I'm right at the intersection of Newport Avenue and Benefit Street.
Thank you very much for being part. I know you're part of another show too on WPRO. Give a shout out to John DePietro, right?
Yeah.
All right, D Shap in the morning. Derek Shapiro Show.